Monet used buildings in his pictures for all sorts of different reasons, primarily pictorial. He could use the regular shape of architecture against the irregularity of nature. It could produce an accent of colour, so you might get a red roof against green foliage. Sometimes he used buildings as screens on which the light played. On other occasions, he might use a building as a gauge of modernity when he painted the railway station or a new bridge. On other occasions, architecture has an almost psychological effect, where you get a wild landscape like the cliffs on the Normandy coast, no figures in it, but just a single customs officer's cottage. So there's a great diversity and range to the way buildings were used in Monet's work. Monet was fascinated by nature. He loved nature's effects. He was always going on in his letters about the different effets that he was trying to get, seasonal effects, weather effects. When the weather changed and he was frustrated, he got cross in his letters. So the response to nature is absolutely paramount in Monet's work. But the architectural elements provided an extra feature. Now, London in those days, at the beginning of the 20th century, was heavily polluted, not just foggy, but very industrial. And Monet enthused in his letters about the fogs which were green and yellow. And these constantly changing effects fascinated him as they made the cityscape in front of him a kaleidoscope of different effects.
He approached it as a pure impressionist. He wanted to capture the fleeting moment in time. And of course, even with buildings, they look as though they're changing because sunlight affects everything from second to second. he sort of used architecture to make a visual diary of where he had been, where he had stayed, where he had loved. And that's what makes it so unusual, because it's almost telling us about him as much as it is about the landscape.